99 episodes, 4 seasons. At its peak, the 5th highest-rated show in all of America, pulling nearly 19 million viewers every Monday night on NBC. ALF wasn't just a hit, it was a merchandising empire. Lunchboxes, cereal boxes, a Saturday morning cartoon, a Marvel comic book, a guest hosting gig on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. For 4 years, a wisecracking puppet alien who wanted to eat the family cat was one of the most famous characters on the planet, and behind the cameras, it was an absolute nightmare. A single 30-minute episode took up to 25 hours to film. The lead actor grew so unhinged that he once physically attacked the puppet on set. A teenage actress developed an eating disorder from the stress. The cast called themselves a dysfunctional family, and when it was all over, when the creator begged NBC for one final season to give fans a proper ending, the network gave him a verbal promise. Let him write a cliffhanger that left the beloved alien captured by the military, and then reneged on the deal. Millions of children went to bed that night believing their favorite character was going to be experimented on in a government lab. There was no next episode. There was no goodbye. This is the rise, the hidden chaos, and the cruelest ending in sitcom history. If ALF was part of your childhood, or if you're still traumatized by that ending, hit like and subscribe, because this one goes deeper than you think. The puppeteer nobody wanted to meet, Paul Fusco, is born on January 29, 1953, in New Haven, Connecticut. He's a puppeteer, not a famous one, not a Jim Henson, but a working craftsman who's been building characters and performing them since the early 70s. By the early 1980s, he's producing puppet-centered TV specials for Showtime, mostly holiday stuff. Solid work, but no hit, no franchise, no character that breaks through. And then he creates ALF. He doesn't know the character is going to work yet, but he tests him, drags the puppet out at parties, performs at a comedy club in New Haven to see if civilian audiences react. They do. The character is obnoxious, sarcastic, rude, obsessed with eating cats. On paper, it shouldn't work for families. In performance, it kills. Fusco partners with Tom Patchett, a TV writer and producer who'd worked on The Bob Newhart Show and Buffalo Bill. Together, they form Alien Productions and develop a pitch: a furry alien crash lands in a suburban family's garage. Instead of being cute and cuddly like E.T., he's basically the worst houseguest imaginable. They need a heavy hitter to get this made. Enter Bernie Brillstein, one of the most powerful managers and producers in Hollywood. He manages Jim Henson. He manages the Muppets. When Patchett brings Fusco to Brillstein's office to show off the puppet, Brillstein's first reaction is fury. As Patchett recalled in a Mental Floss oral history, Bernie didn't know Paul at the time. He got very upset. What's this fucking puppet doing here? He represented Jim Henson and didn't want any other puppets around. Then Fusco performs. He does ALF for 30 seconds. And Brillstein turns to Patchett and says one word: merchandising. Here's how pilot pitches actually work in mid-80s network television. You don't walk into a network with just a script. You walk in with a package, a producer, a star, a concept, and ideally a character that can sell merchandise, because that's where the real money is. Brillstein understood immediately that ALF wasn't just a sitcom character. He was a product line waiting to happen. They pitched the show to NBC's head of entertainment, Brandon Tartikoff, one of the sharpest programming executives in television history. The man who greenlit Cheers, The Cosby Show, Miami Vice, Seinfeld. Tartikoff says yes. And that decision, the one that created a cultural phenomenon, would make everyone involved miserable for 4 straight years. They cast Max Wright, a respected theater actor who'd done Shakespeare and Broadway, as Willie Tanner, the dad. Anne Schedeen as Kate, the mom. Andrea Elson as teenage daughter Lynn. And 8-year-old Benji Gregory, born Benjamin Gregory Hertzberg in Encino, a kid from an acting family whose grandmother was his agent as young son Brian. A wholesome American family. And then they build the stage. And this is where things get complicated. ALF isn't CG. He isn't a guy in a suit. He's a 4-foot 3-inch puppet operated by Paul Fusco and 3 assistant puppeteers from below the stage. The entire set has to be constructed on a raised platform with trapdoors cut throughout the floor so the puppeteers can move underneath and access the puppet from different positions. Every actor has to hit their marks precisely, not for camera angles, but for puppet access. If someone stands in the wrong spot, they're blocking a trapdoor. If they block a trapdoor, the scene can't work. If the scene can't work, they reshoot. And Fusco is a perfectionist. If Alf's head turns at the wrong angle, reshoot. If the puppet's mouth doesn't sync with the dialogue reshoot. If Fusco doesn't like his own vocal performance reshoot. He's not just the puppeteer and the voice. He's also a producer with creative control. He can override directors. He can demand changes. He can run a scene 40 times until he's satisfied. Most sitcoms film a 30-minute episode in 1 or 2 days, with 8 to 10-hour shooting days. ALF episodes regularly took 20 to 25 hours of stage time. Anne Shadeen described the production as a technical nightmare and the set as having no joy. She called the cast a dysfunctional family. Just think about what that means for a child actor. Benji Gregory is 8 years old when the show starts. He's working those brutal days. He has a tutor on set for schooling, which only adds to the chaos. He later said it was a relief when the show was canceled, and it gets worse for someone else. Andrea Elson, who plays teenager Lynn, develops bulimia by season 2. She becomes obsessed with exercise. She won't fully recover until she gets pregnant in 1997, 7 years after the show ends. A family sitcom about an alien eating cats is giving a teenage girl an eating disorder. ALF premieres September 22, 1986. Monday night, 8 p.m., NBC, the Tanners are eating dinner. A spaceship destroys their garage. Out crawls this furry, snout-nosed alien who immediately starts insulting everyone and eyeing the cat. America falls in love. Season 1 finishes 28th in the Nielsen rankings with a 16.5 rating, strong for a first-year show, especially one built around a puppet, debuting in a landscape dominated by The Cosby Show, Family Ties, and Growing Pains. No other show on television was asking audiences to believe in a puppet alien as a sitcom lead. Season 2 explodes. ALF rockets to 10th place with an 18.8 rating, at one point reaching as high as 5th in the country. To put that in perspective, ALF was outranking Moonlighting, Dallas, and LA Law. The show is pulling close to 20 million viewers a week. Kids are obsessed. ALF merchandise is everywhere: lunchboxes, toys, Halloween costumes, trading cards, a board game. There's an ALF cereal called ALF. A Marvel Comics series runs from 1987 to 1992. 2 animated spin-offs launch: ALF, the animated series on Saturday mornings, and ALF Tales, which puts the Melmac characters into fairy tales. ALF guest hosts The Tonight Show. He's a genuine A-list celebrity made of foam and fur, operated by a guy crouched under a stage. Season 3 holds at 10th place. Still massive, the show is one of NBC's most valuable properties. But then comes Season 4, and the floor drops out. ALF plummets to 39th in the Nielsen's. NBC moves the show from its traditional Monday night slot to Saturday nights in March 1990, and if you know anything about network scheduling, you know what a Saturday move means. It's the death slot. It's where networks send shows to die quietly. Here's the thing most people don't understand about how verbal commitments work in the television industry. When a network executive tells a showrunner you'll get another season, that's not a contract. It's not written. It's not binding. It's a handshake, and handshakes in network television are worth exactly as much as the paper they're not printed on. Paul Fusco is about to learn this the hardest way possible. NBC gives Fusco what he understands to be a commitment for a shortened 5th season to wrap up the story. Relieved, Fusco and the writers build a massive cliffhanger into the Season 4 finale. The entire plot hinges on the promise that there will be more episodes to resolve it. March 24, 1990, the episode is called Consider Me Gone. ALF's people, the Melmatians, have found him. They're coming to take him home. He wrestles with the decision: stay with the Tanners, the family that took him in, or go with his own kind. It's emotional. The family is crying. ALF is torn. He decides to leave. The goodbyes are genuine. He walks out to a field where the spaceship will pick him up. The ship appears. ALF is about to board, and then military vehicles surround him. The Alien Task Force, the secret government organization that's been hunting ALF throughout the series, has finally caught him.
ALF! Dad, do something!
Terrified face through the rear window. Fade to black. To be continued. Except NBC cancels the show. No announcement during the episode. No warning. No series finale graphic. Kids and families across America watch that ending thinking Season 5 is coming. It's not. Millions of children go to bed believing their favorite character is being held prisoner by the government. The network is flooded with angry letters and phone calls. Parents are furious. And here's the particularly cruel irony. The writers deliberately constructed that cliffhanger to make it impossible for NBC to cancel the show. They thought the outcry would force the network's hand. Instead, the network simply absorbed the backlash and moved on. ALF's Monday night time slot? It went to a new show called The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And behind the scenes, the ending is just as brutal. On the last night of filming, the final scene wraps. Max Wright, the man who'd spent 4 years playing straight man to a puppet he'd grown to despise, doesn't say goodbye to anyone. Shadeen recalled it with devastating precision. There was one take, and Max walked off the set, went to his dressing room, got his bags, went to his car, and disappeared. Nobody had to say, "wrap," and there were no goodbyes. Artie Longi, who later worked with Wright on The Norm Show, told a story about Wright becoming crazed on set and physically attacking the ALF puppet producers had to pull him off it. The serious stage actor who'd done Shakespeare had been broken by 4 years of crawling around a raised platform, waiting for a guy underneath the floor to get a foam puppet's mouth right. The attempted fix the show that finished the job for 6 years, Paul Fusco lobbies anyone who will listen. Let me make a TV movie. Let me finish the story. Let me give ALF a proper ending. Finally, in 1996, ABC agrees. Project ALF airs on February 17, 1996. The plot: ALF is being held in a secret military base. 2 sympathetic scientists help him escape. The President of the United States intervenes, declares ALF a protected refugee. He's free. None of the original cast appears. No Max Wright. No Anne Shadeen, no Benji Gregory, no Andrea Elson. The script is weak. The production feels cheap. And by 1996, the kids who loved ALF are teenagers who've moved on. The cultural moment has passed. Project ALF gets mediocre ratings and is quickly forgotten. And ALF wasn't the only show to learn this lesson. In 1991, just 1 year after ALF was dragged away by the government, Jim Henson's Creature Shop launched Dinosaurs on ABC. Same Dina. Practical effects sitcom, massive technical challenge, frustrated actors trapped inside rubber suits, enormous budgets. And just like ALF, it ended by traumatizing an entire generation. ALF gave kids government captivity. Dinosaurs gave them the literal extinction of the main characters. The family watches an ice age arrive, knowing they're going to die. Between the two of them, they effectively killed the genre. By the mid-90s, networks stopped betting on practical effects sitcoms entirely. The industry decided that puppets and rubber suits were too expensive, too slow, too brutal on casts, and too likely to end in disaster. The era was over. Max Wright continued acting in theater and television after ALF, but never landed another major hit. He appeared on The Norm Show with Artie Longi. He struggled with addiction. He passed away on June 26, 2019, at the age of 75. In every obituary, ALF was mentioned prominently. Wright had spent nearly 30 years trying to be known for anything else. Anne Shadeen mostly retired from acting after ALF. Occasional guest spots, but she stepped away from Hollywood. Andrea Elson continued acting for a while before leaving the industry. She's spoken more positively about the show than her co-stars in recent years, but she's also been honest about the toll it took, and about the eating disorder that began on set and took years to overcome. Benji Gregory left entertainment in 2003 and enlisted in the U.S. Navy, serving as an aerographer's mate aboard the Carl Vinson before receiving an honorable medical discharge in 2005. He struggled with depression, bipolar disorder, and a sleep disorder. On June 13, 2024, he was found dead in his car alongside his service dog Hans, in a parking lot in Peoria, Arizona. He was 46 years old. The medical examiner ruled his death accidental environmental heat exposure. His sister believes he had gone to the bank to deposit residual checks and fell asleep in the Arizona summer heat. The show that consumed his childhood was still paying him when he died. And Paul Fusco never stopped trying to bring ALF back. A revival pitch in 2000 passed. Another attempt in 2012, nothing. In 2018, Warner Bros. Announced an ALF movie reboot with Sony Pictures Animation. A screenwriter was attached. Fusco was involved. The movie still hasn't been made. He also turned down what might have been the most remarkable crossover in television history. Jim Henson, who was a genuine fan of ALF, wanted the character to appear on The Muppet Show alongside Kermit and Miss Piggy. It would have been a chance for Fusco to perform alongside Henson and Frank Oz, two of the greatest puppeteers who ever lived. Fusco said no. He didn't want ALF to be perceived as a Muppet. The puppeteer whose career was built on a puppet refused to let his puppet share the screen with the most famous puppets in the world. It's the most Paul Fusco decision imaginable, fiercely protective of his character's identity, even at the cost of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Legacy, the show that proved you can't make a hit without breaking people, ALF proved something the television industry keeps having to relearn: technical ambition and human sustainability are not the same thing. You can build a show that's innovative, beloved, and commercially massive, and still destroy the people who make it. The audience sees the finished product. They see the laughs, the catchphrases, the lunchboxes. They don't see the 25-hour shooting days, the eating disorders, the screaming matches, the actor who walks off the set for the last time without saying goodbye. And the show's legacy is inseparable from its ending. Not the content of the finale, which is actually a touching, well-constructed episode, but the betrayal that followed it. NBC promised a resolution and didn't deliver. The writers gambled on a cliffhanger and lost, and an entire generation of children learned, for the first time, that the people who make the things you love can break their promises. That stories don't always get endings. That sometimes the alien gets captured and nobody comes to save him. A show about a family that took in a stranger and loved him anyway ended with that stranger being taken away by force. And nobody on either side of the camera got the goodbye they deserved. If you enjoyed this deep dive, give the video a like and subscribe for more retro TV deep dives. Thanks for watching.